Brett Beaty. With me is Kevin Tinsley, and we represent Apex Order Pickup Solutions, and Merco Hot Food
Holdings. Yeah,
Hot Food Holding System. So thank you for joining us today. So basically, you're teaming up for smarter food service solutions. This is it's welcome, and we thank you for coming in to learn more about food lockers. We understand this new technology is absolutely new methods in terms of how we go about order pickup or passing food from an order prep station into the hands of the delivery service provider or the takeout customer. These are some of the samples we've got. We've got actually installations at the University of Arizona, Rider University. There's a test site going on at McDonald's. This is actually at a Hawaiian and Asian Hispanic facility in Miami. Some introductions, I think we've already done that. We'll talk about some background. Why are things changing within food service? What are some of the current methods and what are some of the issues with those methods? Why Merco and Apex partnered up together. Hardware and software. We'll go through a virtual demonstration, talk a little bit about hot markets and current deployments, and then leave you with contact names and numbers should you have any questions or need additional information. Again, if there's anything that you need to stop and you have a question, please feel free to do so. This is an open forum of information, so please.
You can also put it in the chat. If you want to put it in the chat, we'll be monitoring that. We can take it to the parking lot at the end of it.
So what's going on with the way consumers are interacting with restaurants is really changing, and I think that it started occurring before COVID, where delivery was becoming by far, I'd say by far, but a heavily preferred method of getting their food. Takeout delivery is essential to the lifestyle of the current customer, including 89% of that group have used in-store pickup or delivery in the last month. 80% plan to continue the habits beyond the pandemic because they find it easier. So it's actually become a very digital lifestyle that reflects a lot of other things. 8 out of 10 will currently choose a mobile order for pickup over delivery if they're confident their food is ready the moment they arrive. Now, what we're talking about are two separate concepts here. Talking about the delivery is on the increase, but also talking about a consumer that if they know their food's going to be ready, they'll go pick it up themselves. So it's kind of a double-edged sword. Consumers want to wait 6 minutes or less for their meals. If they see a long line, they want to leave. Again, then that's driving their behavior. So number one, they want to decrease the wait times as their top priority for in-store pickup. But again, I think that blends very, very nicely into delivery service as well, because the sooner delivery service can provide the food to the end user, the better reputation the restaurant is actually going to maintain. So we've got a rise in delivery. DSPs, as we call them, are rapidly growing. They're charging their customers or their restaurants 20 to 30% of every ticket. So the service better provide an added value to that operation. And sometimes it does, sometimes it doesn't, depending on the methods of order pickup in many cases. A lot of operational pressures and most primarily labor challenges. And one of the biggest benefits that you can see from an automated pickup system is streamlining of labor and making sure that the labor is actually being used in more productive ways than it currently is. Questions so far? Here are some of the current methods of delivery. As you see in the far left-hand side, this is one of the biggest takeout customers on the planet, and you can just see stack after stack after stack after stack of orders waiting to be picked up. The second over was we were at a conference in Southeast US. This is their pickup area. One is for online orders for customer pickup. The other one is listed as delivery pickup and has each shelf marked for delivery drivers. And then this last one is from a shot in the upper central Midwest that just has a set of stainless steel shelves with their orders and their names on it. So what happens once the order is placed on a shelf? What happens to that order? What happens to when it's placed on a countertop? Are you using your labor in the best way when you have somebody standing up and holding a bag and saying, Kevin, where's Kevin? Where's John Smith? Where's Mr. Smith? Who's responsible for the quality of the food? Who is responsible for the food safety? I would guarantee you that the end user or the customer is not blaming the delivery driver for the quality of food. That's being reflected back on the restaurateur or the operator. So who pays the price for substandard food quality, or for food that is actually shown, or it is actually may violate food safety standards?
Or food that goes missing. Yeah, it has to be remade, so.
Yep. A lot of things that we, for certain situations that we have run across recently, which we'll talk about, where we, somebody decides they're going to put a shelf in, they decide this is the best way to go about it, and all of a sudden they find their orders are missing. So it increases the amount of loss they have per week. Merco and Apex decided to join forces. It's been now just over 2 years, if I'm not mistaken. Apex had the technology and the build scope. We'd actually done the pizza portal with Little Caesars and have distributed over 6,000 of those units across the US and Canada. So Merco wanted to get into that business of the food locker piece, and we had the technology, we had the software. Merco had the manufacturing, sales, and service resources. We joined forces, and so far so good. It's going very, very well. Hardware is the physical locker. We'll talk about the models that you've got. As you can see in the picture that you've got a countertop 103, which has 3 compartments and a user interface that you can see here. You also have a floor model, which is a 107, 7-compartment user interface here. This is available as a flow-through being defined as load from the back, pick up from the front, but also designed and sold as a front load, which means load and pick up, load from the front and pick up from the front. The benefits of either are obvious. You've got a flow-through, which is very efficient. It's positioned on one side of a wall in the final order prep area. The locker's loaded and picked up either by the delivery service provider or the end user, the customer, from the front. The front load is very advantageous if the person that you're designing for or the person that's actually running the restaurant operation doesn't have the time, doesn't have the facilities that they can change or mock up. Maybe they're renting a facility. If they have an alcove that they can actually slide the locker into, plug it in, and connect a hardline internet connection, they can use the locker in the same way in a front load fashion. Hardware, one of the keys is the hardware is sold through reps like PRNW and then through the dealer channel. There is also a software subscription that we will talk about that is put together and sold on an independent PO through Apex. Staying with the countertops, and I'm going to move some of this stuff around a little bit. 103 and the 104 is a flow through, load from the back, unload from the front. The countertop unit only comes as a flow through unit. 103 on the left, all the compartments open through a single user interface. The 104 is the expansion satellite, which contains 4 locker compartments alone. 103 is a controller unit. All the electrical and internet connections are wired into the top of this unit. A 103 as your controller. You have to have a 103 unit if you want to request a countertop, because that's the main internet connection, the main electrical connection. If 3 compartments is not enough to handle the peak order load that you've got, you can expand the capacity by adding a satellite unit in a series of 4. So for instance, you would take the 103 and you'd put it right next to the 104. You can put as many as 3 satellites to 1 controller, which I'll illustrate here. There's your 103. You've got 3 compartments. You add a 104 for 7 compartments. Another 104 for 11 compartments. Last one for 15 compartments. The key point to this is, actually there are a couple of key points. There is 1 electrical connection that comes down to the 103 locker compartment. 1 electrical connection, it's 120 volt, 5 amp circuit. It's less power drawn than your refrigerator. Main controller or the main electrical drops through your 103 is daisy chained to the 104s. So it's a one electrical connection. You also have a hardline internet connection that comes down to the 103. That also is daisy chained to the other compartments. That single user interface on the front will open any of the 15 doors that you have in this configuration. I hope that makes sense. It is one of the main advantages that we have when it comes to expanding locker capacity for any particular needs, is the single electrical and single internet connection. Floor models are a bit more diverse. You have a 107, which is 7 compartments and a user interface here. As you can guess, the 107 is the controller, very similar to the 103. The primary electrical connection and internet connection is located up top. You have to have a 107 in the configuration, but you can expand the capacity by adding satellite units in a configuration of 8. So you've got a total, if you were to join those two together, you've got 15 total locker compartments. You also daisy chain the electrical connection between the 107 and the 108, daisy chain the internet connection between the 107 and the 108. Currently, the configuration is a 107 and a 108 side by side for 15 total compartments. You've got one user interface here. You've also got an operational interface on the back. Now let me go backwards for just a moment, because I want to make sure that I don't forget one of the key points here. This is a 107 flow through. You can see through the back, you load from the back, you pick up from the front. You also have a 107 front load, which you can load from the front and pick up from the front. Again, this is in a place where you may not have the facility or the rights to knock through a wall from the load section or from the order prep station to the pickup area. So this, again, this allows more flexibility when it comes to actually installing the lockers and using those. Questions so far? One of the keys to, okay, great. One of the keys to the Apex locker is we do not promote, nor do we have heating control or refrigeration control for those units. Primarily, the ambient unit seems to make more sense because most takeout orders consist of both hot and cold elements. So you can take your hot sandwich and your fries and your cold drink, set them side by side, put them in the same locker, and they can be picked up in that way. If you have a cold side and a hot side, you're relying on the lowest paid person in the restaurant, restaurant personnel to remember that I've got a cold drink that needs to go over here and a hot food that needs to go over here. This eliminates that. Managing dwell time reduces the need for separately heated compartments. Average dwell time, which we refer to as the time a locker is loaded to the time it's picked up, is about 6 minutes. So with that, you're not going to find any major degradation to the food quality, no compromises to the food safety, and even if you have a glass of soda pop on ice, it's not going to really melt that ice that quickly. It simplifies the operations tremendously. Add to that, with a 120 volt 5 amp circuit, if you add heating elements to that, it's going to dramatically increase your power draw, and it's going to dramatically increase the service points that you might have. Finally, we did have a test going through one of the major wing chains across the country, who told us that in their packaging, in a heated compartment, is actually a heated shelf, that their food was starting to stew inside the package. So by the time the delivery was done or the takeout person came to pick it up, it was not recognizable anymore. So it dramatically affected the food quality. Again, it's something to think about, and we take it from there. Go ahead, Kevin.
I guess one more point to consider on this is really replacing, most restaurants have a shelf, which is ambient, of course. So we're replacing ambient with what they currently have. And what they currently have is usually working for them. Again, pizza, different scenario. most restaurants are serving both hot and cold items in the same order. So it kind of makes sense.
Okay, so what we've got, let's move to software very quickly. The Merco Apex Order HQ smart lockers are available with two separate kinds of software. One is the core software. It's out of the box. It does not connect or integrate with the POS program within the store. What the result is you have a manual order entry. You load the locker, you have to manually enter a portion of that order number on the back of the locker on the operator interface. On the flow through, the operator interface is located on the back. On the front load, the operator interface is located off to the side. One of the key points about core is that we'll still provide a certain amount of data, and that being it will measure from the time the locker is loaded to the time it's picked up, which is a key measurement for some folks. It is the least expensive of the two software programs we offer. The other is integrated, which will blend with any POS, KDS, KMS online ordering platform, any app provider, through your native app, through DoorDash, through Uber Eats. You must have an integrated package that's going to blend with those programs. What the integrated piece will do is typically you will have an order ticket that has a barcode or a QR code on it. With that barcode, you scan the barcode on the operator interface on the back of the locker, select a locker, push a button, and walk away. All of the order information, all the customer information that you need to complete that order is contained in that barcode. So there's no manual entry. It's simply scanning that and moving away and going to do something else. That takes significantly less time than monitoring and ordering information or putting order information in, manually loading it is what I mean. The other piece is the data set of information that you can get through an integrated system is from the time the order is received to the time the order is completed to the time the locker was loaded to the time it was picked up. That information right now is the black hole where restaurateurs are concerned. What happens to the order once it's finished? How long does it take to prepare the order? Is that short enough or long enough in the restaurateur's opinion, in their standards? Can they increase the efficiency of how that kitchen operates by use of that information? On the other side of that, I can tell how long it took DoorDash to come pick up that food, come pick up that meal. If DoorDash consistently exceeds an acceptable amount of time, then I can leverage those delivery services to lower their pricing so I can get much more efficiency. The last piece is I can absolutely drive the customer to come in to start using the locker themselves and to eliminate the price that they're paying to use the delivery services. But both systems provide very comprehensive data. It's good information that the restaurateur can use to improve their operation. We do some device customization. What you see here is a series of Jersey Mike's is an installation at Rider University in New Jersey. This is some of the graphics that they put on wall next to their lockers. You also see a unit that we've manufactured for Sonic. It has what we call a full vinyl wrap. And it's got the logo. It reinforces the brand very nicely and stays with the customer colors. On the right-hand side, you see the user interface screen, which can be used to put a large customer logo here where the Apex logo is. We could change the image or the font color, button font, or the top banner. So these are some things that you can request for your customer going in to show them that this is a customized piece just for their facility.
Take note of that screen there, because when we do a demonstration, it may not show up due to the lighting. So that's the screen you're going to see.
This is the screen we'll do
for the consumer.
All right. Is everybody ready for a demo? So I'm Brett Beaty. This is Kevin Tinsley. How's everybody? What you're seeing is our CXE lab in Mason, Ohio. What the unit that you're seeing here is a 107-108 combination. The 107 with the 7 locker compartments and the single user interface. The satellite unit next to it is the 108, which is the expansion cabinet that has simply 8 locker compartments. All 15 of those locker compartments are controlled by that single user interface. On the back of this system, which we'll see when we do the demo on the other side, is the operator interface, where you will actually plug information in or scan that, scan the order ticket that you've got. Just power is actually supplied up top, but again, one of the things that we want to point out is that on the side, what you see here is just a grommeted opening that you can use to feed. It's either used to feed daisy chain the cords to the other unit side by side, or you can actually, if you have power along the floor, you can actually feed the power here and string it up through the interface up top, if that makes any sense. Inside, what you'll see is you'll see different colored lights as we go, and I will demonstrate that as we move forward. Again, this is a 107, 108 combination. And one of the questions before I walk away from this is, we talk about dwell time. Dwell time being the time the locker is loaded to the time it's picked up. This is a flow-through unit. Through the thousands of interactions that we have seen and recorded, the average dwell time for any locker pickup is about 6 minutes. Why am I telling you this? Telling you this is because you can estimate the number of lockers you can need or that your customer is going to use based on their peak period and based on using that 6 minutes pickup time. If I divide 60 minutes by 6, then feasibly, or mathematically rather, I can put 10 orders per hour through a single compartment. Mathematically, so I scale that back to, let's say 7, safely 7 orders per hour. If I take 7 times 7, I'm doing 49 orders in that 7 compartment unit. Add to an 8 unit, so I'm doing 56 in that one. So in this single configuration, I can process over 100 orders in a single hour. A peak period that does 100 takeout orders or 100 delivery orders in a single hour, that's a lot of orders that they can process, that they can do in a relatively compact configuration like you see here. As we continue to walk, let's show you one of the countertops that we have here in stock. Countertop unit, it is a 103. 3 compartments, single user interface. This is mocked up to be like an outdoor unit, which actually has a weatherproof or security door that comes down in front of it. Operates the very same way. The only difference is you chopped off the bottom 4 lockers here. You can actually see the scanner against my hand here on the user interface, but we will get to that when we actually get to the demo, which we're going to now. This is our demo unit. It's actually wired up and ready to roll. Again, as we've talked about this before, this is a 107, 7 compartments, user interface. It is a flow through, so the back is open, the front is open for pickup, the most efficient way to go about it. As we get closer to this, I want to show you a couple of things before we move in the back. The first is, let's see if I can get this. The first is what you can see in the top of this compartment is a camera. What the camera does is it detects whether something is actually present in the locker space. What you see in the bottom is you'll see a black grate, as you see here. What the black grate actually does is it creates a contrast between the product and it enables the camera to see it much easier. What you also see, you can see the back of it here, is a strip of LED lights. The lights are useful in that they communicate the status of the locker by the changing of the light. And as we show that to you, you'll see that. Again, all LED lights, totally customizable to be whatever you or your customer determines are the most appropriate colors to reinforce their brand or to reflect the status of a locker. As we go around back, what you see, go ahead, Kevin.
Yeah, this is the restaurant side, the chef side, the make line. So what you'd want to have here is ideally an integrated software approach where you've got a make ticket line with a QR code. Hopefully you can see that there. And then the user interface on the back, which is of course the operator interface. You would scan that code underneath this the scanner here, load the product into the compartment, and then be on your way. Press an OK button and you're on your way. And this is really important for on that labor issue, making efficient use of your labor so they can go on and do the next activity, and they don't have to monitor the food that would typically be sitting on a shelf here. So again, this is replacing a shelf or a Metro shelf where they have their orders. So that's the integrated approach. Again, the integrated software approach, the unit here would know about the order in advance. The advantage also is that there is a timestamp on when the order hits the kitchen. So that's with the integrated approach. What we're going to demonstrate here today is the core workflow, C-O-R-E, this core program, which you just manually enter the order and load the order. So you ready, Brett?
Yes, welcome to Kevin's Tacos. It's Taco Tuesday. So Kevin's loaded an order. He's got the delivery here.
And we're going to have a large order. So we're going to, if that order is filled that box, we need 2 boxes, 2 compartments actually. Yeah.
Now let's do it. It's 16 1/4 front to back.
Yeah.
You are 13 side to side and 12 tall, or is it 12 side to side and 13 tall? One of the two. But they're within an inch of each other. The compartment size does not change. We are often asked, whether or not we can do smaller or larger compartments. But to Kevin's point, if I have something that's going to fit, that's too big for 1 locker compartment, I can put it in 2. And by processing that order under the same order number, you'll see here that both doors will open when the order is complete.
You may not be able to see it, but there's a drip tray here that is angled so that if there's any spilled beverages, they can, it's easy cleanup.
Somebody's going to spill something sometime.
Yeah.
So this is the operator interface. I don't think you can see it specifically. We can certainly send photographs of that. But numerically, you pick a 4-digit code. Let's pick 3344 and press your enter button here. And it processes, as you can see. What's happening is you look at the lights. The lights have changed. So the order's been sent up to the cloud. The light has changed. And now it's showing that the lockers are ready for pickup. Questions? What have I forgotten, Kevin? Anything in particular?
We can talk about dwell time and lockouts when we pick up the order.
There you go.
Let's do that.
There you go.
Yeah.
Let's go back around the front.
Now the consumer.
What you can see also, before I forget, because you're looking at, we talked about the vinyl wrap. This is a vinyl wrap as well. This is just a banner that we put on top. Typically, it's a white powder coat background, black rim doors, black edge doors. So there we go. Now, Kevin, would you enter the?
Yeah. When the consumer or the driver comes into the restaurant, will either have a code on their phone, a QR code. If we have their phone number, then they'll be sent a QR code and a 4-digit number, which they can of course scan here, and the doors will pop open. Or and he might show this.
Go ahead and keep talking.
Yeah, he's going to showcase. We'll show one of those visually here. But what DoorDash drivers typically do, and of course the other Uber Eats and so forth, there's on that make ticket, there's usually an order number. So that order number will be the same on that make ticket as well as the driver. So they'll typically punch in a 4-digit code, or for DoorDash, it's the first name, last initial, so Kevin T. And then of course, that's what would go in there. So we can showcase this. This is typically what you get as a text, a barcode, and then a 4-digit code to go along with that, just as a backup in case there's a cracked phone screen or if it can't read it for some reason. So, so in this case, we're ready to pick up the order, and it was at 3344.
That's what I recommend.
We always have to remember that when we type those in the back. So I'm going to pay attention here. This is the most exciting part of the demonstration, let's say, folks. So this is press to enter, and we're waiting for that cloud to recognize the order. and that API call. So it's exciting for consumers, I think, to get in to the restaurant, engage with the box and the unit, the lockers. Yeah, and these doors are the only moving part that is on the unit. So very easy to maintain. You can see they take a lot of beating there. So college campuses were on those as well. So as Brett goes around to the back, people ask often, well, what happens if the door isn't shut, isn't closed? And you can see there that he can just reach around and close the door. So additionally, what this unit does, the locker system, is it captures the dwell time. So the dwell time is the time that it hits the locker from the back till when it's picked up. And, you know, if it's 6 minutes on average, let's say Brett uses the Taco Tuesday. If you've got tacos or other brand that won't really sit well for past, let's say 10 minutes, you can establish a time limit for the entire locker system of 10 minutes. And at 10 minutes and 1 second, the locker color could change to red, and that's up. You can change that to whatever you want, but we like red. The door will lock, and then when the consumer or the driver comes in, it'll say, please see attendant. And then you can adopt whatever policy you have on food that sits too long, and you'll have that option. But it is valuable data for the restaurant on how long orders sit, and it can lead them to maybe adjust their policies on when they start to fire orders and so forth. So very valuable data. And you know, again, I think we said this, but the locker color that you see now can be adaptable and changed to whatever color you'd like. So
markets that we're seeing right now, and I do have a little video to play for you. Fast casual, QSR, of course, we're testing in some of those areas. We've seen a huge acceptance among entertainment, college, university, some healthcare, senior living, which may sound, when I saw this first, I thought, sure, but there are senior living has an entirely different perspective on it. Sporting venues, C-stores and airports. What you see in the upper left-hand corner here is our installation at Dallas-Fort Worth. This gentleman will talk about just very briefly in the next 20 seconds or so, his experience with the new system that is at Raleigh-Durham Airport.
I'm pretty sure this is the future of restaurants. All right, so this behind me in the Raleigh-Durham Airport is the first ghost kitchen in an airport. You pre-order your food here and then pick it up at these lockers over here. And they have like 6, 7, 10 different brands. We've got some coffee here. All right, just got a text, my order is ready, so I just got to put the code in here and then get my coffee. And then bam, there is my coffee. Thank you very much. That's like the smoothest airport interaction I've ever had. I really hope we see this in a lot more airports.
So with that,
I'm pretty sure.
let's move to the idea that we can use integrated locker system will simplify operations. I'm going to go through this rather quickly. It enhances customer experience because it minimizes the time they have to wait. It's smooth, it's frictionless, it's contact free. It increases throughput because, as Kevin mentioned, kind of alluded to, when you have a shelf, you actually have to have somebody monitoring meals or the orders that are on that shelf, simply to find out if they're moving quickly enough or if somebody is actually taking them. The situation that we're talking to somebody now, he's got 7 bakeries. He had such good business, he decided to put in a shelf and realized that within his 7 stores, he's losing $250 per week. That's from one single store, $250 a week on stolen food. So he's actually looking at lockers again to provide that security that he's got, which is his particular pain point. That's a good place to start when you talk about, well, what is the issue with how you're moving things through the delivery course right now? Resiliency. Typically, if you want it to go from a core to an integrated mode, just to throw this in as well, core software mode to an integrated mode, or expand from a 7 compartment to an 8 compartment, it's really simple to do. Updating the software is an online feature, and plugging in, as long as you have space, you roll that next to each other and plug it in, it's operational almost instantly. It drives revenue, delights customers. There's no better feeling in the world than seeing a group of men that are 50 years old gasp when they see the doors open, which is kind of a funny story. It improves labor efficiency, reduces great waste, and and shifts orders from the delivery service provider to the native app, which we've had some conversations about. How do you motivate your end users to come into the store and take a look, and come into the store and use the pickup device themselves? The photograph that you see is from a recent trip. I ordered some takeout, I ordered some care. We actually went in and found that at the Urban Walk, despite the fact that it was a grand opening, had attached a coupon to the meal that I was using. So why wouldn't I want to do that? Talk about the casino stuff that we're looking at, Kevin.
Yeah, you know, this is a great opportunity to talk about the merchandising and promotion and advertising aspect of the unit. I guess you could press admit and let that guy in. So really what you want to do is drive folks away into the restaurant, away from the DSPs, the delivery service providers, which you're paying 30% on. Your restaurants are paying that. So you can put something in the bag, on the bag, when the delivery service provider picks that food up and delivers it, and just encourage them to use the pickup lockers and experience that fun and engaging aspect of it. Then you can also put something in the locker that they might use later, a hat, a mug, something of value there. And then we've got a situation with a nice situation with a casino where typically casino, the folks that are gambling are leaving and getting food and then not coming back to the tables. So the casino is looking at employing the lockers to have people get their food, of course, and have accurate, safe handoff. But then also getting them back to the tables, they can give them some kind of an offer. Either it's a physical offer, a digital offer, and say, you know, eat your food here, and then go back to the table in the next 25 minutes and you can utilize this $5 offer. So there are all kinds of ways that we can utilize this locker system to encourage new behaviors and new trials and frequency.
Lastly, when we talk about the flexibility of the Order HQ systems, the simplicity, the ability that you can customize it, and that it ensures food is kept safe, gets to the right customer, and has all of the food service certifications on board. It should really be something that you're looking at as a consideration once you talk to the end user, once you talk to your customer, to realize what their pain points are.